The world had changed. Once beautiful and full of promise, it had become a place of decay. Violence spread like a plague. Love grew cold. People no longer walked with God. They chased their own desires, built idols with their hands, and laughed at what was once sacred. The earth groaned under the weight of corruption. What had been made good was now teetering on the edge of ruin, and God, heartbroken by what his creation had become, made a decision, a drastic one. But even in judgment, he looked for someone who still listened, and he found Noah. Noah wasn't loud. He wasn't a warrior. He wasn't known in the cities or celebrated in the squares, but he was faithful. In a world of chaos, he still knelt to pray. In a sea of noise, he still heard God's whisper. One morning, while the sky was still gray and the wind restless, God spoke, "The end of all flesh has come before me. The earth is filled with violence, but you, Noah, I have found righteous. Build an ark." Noah stood in stunned silence. An ark? For what? There is no water nearby, no storm clouds overhead. But he didn't argue. He didn't need to understand the why. He trusted the who. So he began. It was slow work, painstaking. Day after day, Noah hauled timber, hammered beams, smeared pitch. He worked under the hot sun through aching muscles and blistered hands. His sons helped. His wife brought water. And the world around them laughed. "You've lost your mind," they'd jeer. "Building a boat in the middle of nowhere." They mocked his sweat, his silence, his belief in something unseen. Sometimes Noah felt the weight of their stares, the sting of their words. He wondered if he was foolish, if he'd misunderstood. He would pause, hands heavy with splinters, and gaze up at the sky, still blue, still calm. Doubt whispered, but faith spoke louder. Each night he lay awake listening to the creak of wood and the rustle of leaves in the wind, wondering what it would feel like when the rain finally came. Would it be gentle, sudden? Would he be ready? And every morning he rose again, because obedience doesn't always make sense until it does. Years passed. The frame took shape. The decks were laid. The interior was divided into rooms and stalls. A structure born not from engineering expertise, but from divine instruction. Neighbors stopped mocking and began avoiding him altogether. His devotion made them uncomfortable. Even among his family, there were quiet moments of uncertainty. At night, when the tools were down and the fire crackled low, his sons would sit in silence, their eyes heavy with questions. Noah saw it, the doubt in their brows, the worry in their wives' glances. He didn't rebuke them. He simply reminded them of the promise, of the voice that called him. And somehow that was enough to keep them going. Then, just as God had promised, the animals began to come. It started subtly. A pair of doves flew overhead and perched on the ark's rail. Then came a fox and his mate, a lion, regal and calm, elephants trumpeting as they approached. Two, by some divine orchestration, they came from across the earth. The skies above darkened with wings. The ground rumbled beneath hooves and claws. Creatures large and small, predator and prey, moved in harmony. Not chaos, not fear, peace. Noah's neighbors watched in stunned silence. Jokes faded, curiosity bloomed. But still no one asked to enter, no one asked to help. Their hearts were too hard, too proud. When the last of the animals entered, Noah gathered his family, 8 souls, his wife, his sons, their wives. They stepped inside, unsure of what would come next, but sure of who had called them. And then the door shut, not by Noah's hand, but by God's. A deep, echoing thud, like the final beat of a drum. Then silence. And then rain. It started as a mist, then a drizzle, then a downpour so heavy it was hard to see. Thunder cracked, lightning flashed, the earth trembled, water burst from the ground, rivers overflowed, cities drowned, people cried out, pounded on the ark, screamed Noah's name, but the door did not open. Inside, Noah's family huddled. The ark groaned as it lifted from the earth, rising on waves that swallowed the land. Animals stirred, wind howled, but Noah prayed. They took turns keeping watch. His sons whispered to each other in the dark, trying to stay brave. His wife quietly sang old songs to calm the trembling animals. There were tears, too, moments of fear and grief for the world left behind. 40 days, 40 nights, endless gray skies, endless water, no landmarks, no direction. Some nights Noah stood at the window and stared at the horizon, wondering if they had entered a world without end. What if the waters never receded? What if this was the new reality? Adrift, forgotten. But then he'd remember the voice, the promise, the plan, and faith would anchor him again. Then one morning the rain stopped, the skies cleared, the sun broke through, and the water began to recede, but Noah didn't rush. He waited. Days passed, then he released a raven. It flew back and forth. Then a dove, but it returned. Days later, he sent the dove again. This time, it brought back an olive leaf. Life. Soon the ark settled on the mountains of Ararat. And when the ground was dry, God said, "Come out." Noah stepped into a new world. The air smelled different. The land was clean, quiet. Dew sparkled on untouched grass. The silence now was not eerie, but sacred, a calm after the chaos. He didn't cheer. He didn't claim victory. He built an altar and worshipped. God saw his heart, his faith, his obedience, and in that moment he made a promise. Never again will I destroy all life by a flood. And in the sky a bow of color stretched across the clouds, a rainbow, a symbol of mercy, of promise, of hope after devastation. The story of Noah is more the tale of animals and rain. It's a reminder that when the world feels broken, when everything around us falls into chaos, we can still choose obedience. We can still build our ark, brick by brick, choice by choice. Sometimes obedience looks ridiculous to others. Sometimes faith means acting on things we cannot yet see. But just like Noah, when we walk with God, we carry the hope of something better. The storm may come, but with God we will endure. And after every storm, if we look closely, we just might find a rainbow waiting. Thank you for joining us on this journey through God's timeless stories. Each story we share is a reminder that though the world may change, His word endures forever. If today's story spoke to you, leave a like, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful journeys through Scripture. New episodes release every Friday. Until next time, keep walking by faith. And remember, every story is part of a greater story, the story God is still writing in you.